Isaac had always felt more at ease in the silence of nature than among people. That's why he drove 6 hours west of Dublin, his German Shepherd Molly riding shotgun, toward the forgotten moors of Glen Fae. It was a last-minute decision, spurred by a restlessness he couldn't explain. The type of unease that seeps into your bones, not loud or chaotic, but constant, like a slow drip. He wasn't running from anything in particular. Life was fine. Work was fine. Everything was fine. But it was the kind of fine that makes you question whether you're actually alive. The road to Glen Fae narrowed the deeper he went. Tarmac gave way to gravel, and eventually to dirt paths barely wide enough for his Jeep. By the time he passed the rusted sign, Glen Fae Woodlands, the air had thickened with fog and damp moss. No phone signal, no tourists, no signs of life. Perfect. He parked at the end of the trail, shouldered his pack, and gave Molly a nod. She trotted ahead with cautious excitement, nose twitching. The forest seemed to breathe around them. Trees leaned inward, branches gnarled like arthritic fingers. A faint stream gurgled somewhere to the left. The earth underfoot was soft, too soft, like stepping on old bread. By midday, he found a clearing near the stream, surrounded by blackthorn and ash. He pitched the tent, set a fire ring, and unpacked his gear. Everything felt muted. The wind barely moved, no birds, no insects. Even the water was sluggish. Still, Isaac felt calm. The air was cool and damp. Molly lay near the fire pit, ears twitching at every invisible rustle. That first evening, he cooked over the flame, beans, toast, and tea. The silence settled like ash. It wasn't comforting. It was observing. Isaac couldn't shake the feeling that the trees were watching him. Molly's behavior confirmed it. She stayed alert, head up, body stiff. She didn't bark. She didn't growl. She simply watched the woods. Around 10 p.m., the fire crackled low. The darkness outside the fire's glow was thick, pressing. Isaac sat staring into the embers, sipping lukewarm tea. Then he heard it. A crunch. Twigs snapping under something heavy. Not a deer, not wind. Something bipedal. He turned sharply. Molly was already on her feet, staring into the dark beyond the clearing, ears fully forward. Another snap, and then silence. Isaac whispered, "It's probably a fox." But Molly didn't move. She didn't blink. And Isaac couldn't help but think, foxes don't walk upright. He got up, tossed a log on the fire, and slowly scanned the tree line. Nothing. Just black trunks and fog. They slept restlessly that night. Isaac woke up 3 times to distant crunching, breathing that wasn't his, and Molly pacing inside the tent. At one point, he thought he heard whispering outside. No words, just syllables, disjointed, like something trying to imitate language. The morning brought no relief. The sun was dim behind thick clouds. The forest remained deathly still. Molly refused to eat. She stood at the edge of the clearing, eyes fixed on the same patch of woods. Her ears flicked toward sounds Isaac couldn't hear. He tried to distract himself, fishing in the stream, sketching in a notepad. But everything felt wrong, off. The fish weren't biting. The trees seemed to have shifted. The stream, which had run north yesterday, now flowed south. At noon, Isaac began to feel dizzy, not sick, just detached, as if time was stretching. He looked at his watch. It blinked 12:13. He checked again an hour later. Still 12:13. He shook his head, laughed nervously. Guess I needed a break. But that night, it got worse. They heard it again, closer this time, just beyond the clearing, breathing, not human. Wet, gurgling breaths like lungs full of mud. Then something whispered his name. Isaac. The fire nearly went out as the wind howled through the trees, sudden and violent. Molly stood between him and the forest, growling low. Isaac froze. Who's there? Silence, then laughter. Not a man's laugh, not a woman's. Something in between, like a throat not made for sound trying to mimic it. That night, Isaac dreamt of things he couldn't explain. Twisted figures, faces with no mouths, a forest that pulsed like a living thing, trees bleeding sap the color of ink. And in the distance, Molly calling to him in a human voice. He woke up screaming, drenched in sweat. Molly was gone. Panicked, he grabbed a flashlight and ran into the woods. He called her name again and again, heart pounding. Molly, Molly, come! Nothing. Then, movement. He saw her silhouette ahead, just beyond the trees, standing still. He ran to her. Moll! She turned, but it wasn't Molly. It stood like her, same size, same shape, but its face, twisted, skin sagged from the bones, eyes too large, teeth protruding from where lips should be, and its neck bent sideways. Isaac stumbled back. The thing twitched, then ran on all fours into the dark. He didn't remember getting back to camp. He only remembered the silence, the crackling fire, the cold. He stayed awake till dawn. When the sun rose, he found her. Molly, what was left of her. By the fire pit, her body had been laid carefully, legs tucked, like she was asleep, but her throat was slit, her belly opened, organs removed and arranged beside her. Her eyes were missing. Isaac dropped to his knees. He didn't cry. He just stared. It had left her as a message. He packed up what he could, took a hatchet, his flashlight, and a water bottle. He left the rest, the tent, the fire pit, the fish hooks, and he ran. He ran for hours, but the trail didn't appear. The stream kept changing direction. The trees closed in. By nightfall, he was still in Glen Fae, and that night, it spoke again. Isaac, come home. He fell to his knees. The dreams returned, more vivid. He saw himself as a child running through the woods. He saw his mother, eyes black, mouth stitched shut, whispering to him without moving her lips. He saw himself in the clearing, feeding pieces of Molly to something that slithered from the trees. When he awoke, his hands were covered in blood, his own. Scratches ran down his arms, symbols, circles, eyes, tongues. His voice was hoarse. He had been speaking in his sleep, chanting. He no longer felt fear. He felt welcome. He didn't try to leave again. He built a new fire. He slept beside the stream. He listened to the trees breathe. On the fifth day, he heard footsteps again, but he didn't run. He watched. Something walked into the clearing, 8 feet tall, skin like bark, eyes like hollowed-out skulls. It moved without sound, without urgency. Isaac stood. He smiled. It came closer. Then everything went black. They found his Jeep 2 months later, battery dead, overgrown with vines. No sign of Isaac. No sign of Molly. Locals whispered again of Glen Fae, of things that mimic the dead, of voices that call you by name, of trees that bleed, and dreams that change you. Sometimes hikers hear laughter in the woods. Sometimes they hear a dog barking, and if they listen closely, a man's voice too, calling them home.